Tonight is game night, and we need to be ready for whatever wacky hijinks our friends decide to do with the adventure we have planned. But for whatever reason, I'm not feeling it. Did I sleep okay? Am I coming down with a cold? Is it allergies? I can't GM like this, can I? And it's likely one of the players will cancel anyway, so why not save us all the effort and preempt that, and I'll just bump the game till next week. What's the harm? There's two dangers here. The first is we run a session we're not really invested in, and that means we don't do a great job. It's fine, and everyone says they had fun, but we're not going to believe them. After all, we know we could have done better. We could have been more prepared with more energy and more engagement. We talk a lot about player engagement. What about game master engagement? The second danger is we postpone the session, and that demonstrates to our friends that scheduling really is the bigger bad evil guy. It makes it more likely that they in turn will drop out of sessions because they've seen it's okay to do so. And when they do get back to the table, what they remember about what happened last session is that bit further faded away. If you're watching this because you feel right now like you want to cancel tonight's game session, think about this. What if tonight turns out to be their favourite? What if it's a session that you come out of feeling energized and alive, not exhausted, and that boost carries you through into the rest of your week? The first thing to tell you is this: I have gone into sessions feeling unprepared, lacking in energy, and I've had players then tell me it was their favourite session so far. As you GM more and more, this will undoubtedly happen to you, and it will make you realise one of the big secrets. An audience can only applaud the show they see on stage, not the ones we have in our heads. What they're looking forward to this session isn't that huge, detailed fight in the orc camp that you haven't got around to preparing yet, but it's going to be epic. They don't know what they don't know. And conversely, you don't know what will be their number one moments. You might worry that you're not ready for them to tackle the riddle maze of elder wisdom. But then they spend the actual session bantering amongst each other in character about shopping lists. Actually, that's a good point. I'll come back to that at the end. So what do I do before a session, especially if I'm feeling low energy and like I'm not sure I want to go through with this? Well, I prepare, but not quite perhaps in the way you might think. Mike Shea's Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master is fantastic and includes a checklist for preparing for a typical session. I'll put a link downstairs for that. It's a great way to write the next chapter of an ongoing campaign. The steps are: review the characters, create a strong start, outline potential scenes, define secrets and clues, develop fantastic locations, outline important NPCs, choose relevant monsters, and select magic item rewards. And I'm not going to talk about most of those today at all. In fact, I'm not really going to focus much on writing the adventure. I'm going to talk about the first step, what happens before and around that for me. Because either you've got an adventure written and you just don't feel up to running it, or you're intending to wing it like normal, but you don't really feel up to that either. To become excited to tell a story with my friends around a table, the first and most obvious thing seems to be to have a story. But of course what we need is not, here is what is going to happen, this is what they're going to do. But instead, they're wading through the story like a river. Will it flow seamlessly around them? Or does it splash and ripple for the impact they make on the water? If I have a story written at this point, I tend to set it aside. Maybe I'll use it, maybe I'm going to change it. Maybe we'll do something else and we'll come back to it later. If we do that, that's great, that means I'm ahead. What we're doing about tonight is getting excited and then delivering that excitement. Okay, step one is the same. Review the characters. I'll bring up my notes on the computer, look at their character sheets, refresh my memory about what's been happening recently. Have they got any cool new equipment or spells or skills or gadgets or allies? What would showcase those powers? If they're new, they're going to want to use them. Who had least spotlight last time, and how can I rectify that this time? Next, where did we leave them? If I'm doing a one per night campaign, then we can pick them up at their regular base of operations. I may bump them forward down the plot a bit from there if I decide to, later in the process. So I can start with, it's been 3 days and you still haven't found Villainy McBadguy and collected the bounty. But for now I just need to know roughly where they are and are they horribly injured. Then I skip down to NPCs. I'm not likely writing plot or secrets or clues or locations or magic items or any of that business. I don't know where they'll go. Unless last session they said, next time let's go there, or we're using a setting where I've set up that next time they'll go there because they're on a job or a mission of some sort. But the NPCs, that's where I focus. Is anyone moving in the shadows? Not necessarily literal shadows, but currently unseen. Is there a villain taking steps against the party? Is there some large faction inexorably grinding towards its goal uninterrupted? Are allies doing things that the characters won't know about, but which might have a consequence for them later? I don't need to know what they're doing, but I want to get them into my mind, thinking about them, their motivations, their drives, their interests, what sort of things they're aiming towards. And then, and if you're still watching, this is the magic bullet, I hoist the lightning rod into the storm of ideas. How? Well, actually, it's a slower process than that implies. I get up from my desk, I pick up a pencil, a pad of paper, I go to the library, and I sit there. I don't use my phone or a laptop. I cannot say that my way out of a blockage, out of a low mood, is guaranteed to work for you, but I have found it always does for me. I sit there and I start writing. But not the adventure, not the prep straight away, because I'm blocked on that. I know I am. I've got to do something else first, so I just start writing. I write the dates. I write at the library. I write a couple of sentences about how I've come to the library to get ready for the session. Write down what I can see around the room, if it's busy, if it's quiet, if that guy's got that hat on again. And then I'll do a couple of sentences, a paragraph about how my week's going, what else is going on. And now I'm writing, now the pen is moving. Blank white page is not a blank white page. So then I'll write down a paragraph for each of the characters. What's their name, where they're from, what they're like, what the vocal quirks are the player might have given them, what they've been up to recently, who they've annoyed, who they've befriended. And I'll do that for them. And then I'll by then turn the page probably, but it doesn't matter, this page is empty. I'm on a roll. The NPCs, those factions, I'm going to write something about them. I'm not being distracted by the siren call of the dishes or the vacuuming and things I should be getting on with around the house that I can use to put off prep. I'm in the library. So I'll write about the NPCs, the information just from my head onto the page. It engages a different part of the brain, I think, to write it back out again. Because then I'll sit back and I'll look at it and I'll go, oh, what if this is connected to that? What if they don't know about this? I might spot connections. I might write down what happens if a situation is left unattended. I'm going to write a countdown or a clock. I might add a new NPC that links two things together, a consequence of the party's actions, a previous owner of their new toys, a case of mistaken identity. What do you mean you're not the Count? You have his sword. If I just told myself I'm going to go to the library and I'm not coming back until I finish preparing the session, I'd just sit there staring at a blank page again. I'd be moving my blockage down the road. But if I start writing, I'm already writing and I keep writing. The topic just shifts seamlessly into preparing the session. Maybe I'll take with me a completely unrelated rulebook that has some good random generation tables and use those as a springboard. They don't have to be genre specific. The woodland map in Root could easily be a star system caught between warring space factions. The inns in Shadowdark could be 1920s bars in a Town for Cthulhu setting. Random contracts in Impulse Drive can be translated to a job board in any setting. As an aside, if you front-loaded your brain with all the information, the bolt of inspiration can strike when you least expect it. So do make sure you have the Notes app on your phone easy to access and have a way of making notes in the shower. I've not yet deliberately taken a shower to have a revelation of that sort, but for getting energy up and feeling fresh and ready, I do recommend having one as close to go time as possible. And if you have specific gaming t-shirts you like to wear or a special GM's hat, then as the old adage in the theatre has it, wear the right costume and the part plays itself. So that's what I like to do before a session. It's very nearly go outside and touch some grass, but not quite. Oh, and I did say there was an idea I was going to come back to, and it was, yes, whatever you do, hold your prep lightly. If they spend the entire session in character talking to barely written Bob, that's not a problem. That's great. That's role-playing. You get to play the character and put the dice down for a bit and have fun. And then, yes, after the session, Bob needs writing up properly. All the work you did that afternoon, that's banked for next session. We play to find out what happens with role-playing games, and we can't find out what happens when we're playing until we're playing it. Do you have a little ritual you do before you get to the session? Maybe something you do at the session to indicate the game is about to begin and everyone can shut up about sports. Let us know in the comments downstairs. And if you want to hear my recommendation on how to pitch a campaign and how that can turn into a fantastic way to tell people, and now we're on, watch this video next.